The twin suns of Dravux burned high above the arena, casting golden light over thousands of alien spectators. Right. It was a grand day, one that would be remembered in Kravari history. The Kravari Empire, known for its towering warriors and brutal conquests, had agreed to a peace summit. But peace, on Dravox, always came after a test of strength. From the sky descended a small human shuttle, sleek, silent, and very different from the spiked and armored ships of the Kravari. The crowd grew. Quiet as the hatch opened, two humans stepped out. The first was Rin, a short man in a black suit, carrying a silver tablet. He was the official diplomat of Eartha Man, chosen for his sharp mind and calm voice. The second was Milo, tall, calm, and silent. He wore a simple long coat and carried a sheathed sword across his back. No guns, no armor. Just one old style. Steel blade. The Kravari laughed when they saw him. "Where is your army?" someone roared. "Did you bring a weapon or a dinner knife?" Another alien chuckled, but Milo said nothing, just kept walking, his boots echoing across the stone. Flordot, at the center of the arena, the Kravari queen Varela stood tall and proud. She was nearly 10 feet tall, her skin armored like stone, her crown made of bone and black crystal. Her 6 glowing eyes focused on the two humans. "You come for peace," she said, her voice deep and rough like thunder. "But on Dravux, peace is earned, not spoken." Rin stepped forward, trying to keep his voice steady. "We understand, Queen Varela. We are prepared to meet your customs. We bring a warrior." She raised one brow. "This ... human." She pointed a clawed finger at Milo and laughed. That blade on his back, is that a blade or a toothpick? Laughter echoed through the arena. Milo still said nothing. He calmly reached back, unsheathed the sword, and let the metal glint in. The blade was clean, straight, and polished to mirror shine. Old design. Simple steel. Queen. Varela snapped her fingers. From a massive stone gate stepped her champion Gracker, the strongest warrior of her bloodline. 9 feet tall, wearing living armor that moved with his muscles. His weapon was a heavy axe, nearly as large as Milo himself. Rin leaned toward Milo. "You sure about this?" Milo nodded. "It'll be quick." The queen raised a claw. "Begin." Gracker charged. The alien moved fast, surprisingly fast for his size. He swung the axe down with enough force to crack the ground. Milo slid aside, his movements quiet and smooth like a dancer. He didn't strike back. Not yet. Gracker laughed, afraid to fight. Milo took a deep breath and finally moved. His blade flashed once, then again tiny cuts on the alien's armor. Nothing fatal, just testing. The Kravari crowd booed. "This is a joke. He scratches our champion like a cat." But Rin was watching closely. So was Queen Varela. Milo's style was different. No wasted movement. Every step had purpose. Every strike was meant to learn, not kill. Gracker grew angry. He started swinging wildly, smashing stone columns, cracking the arena walls. One swing nearly took Milo's head off, but he ducked just in time. Then something changed. Milo spun back, his eyes calm, and reached behind his waist. The queen leaned forward. From his coat, he pulled a second sword, shorter, thinner, glowing with a faint blue light. The crowd gasped. Twin swords, old technique. Rare, even among human warriors. Gracker roared and rushed again, but this time Milo met him head-on. He moved faster, now striking with both blades in perfect rhythm. Left to disarm, right to pierce. Spin. Dodge. Cut again. Gracker stumbled back, confused. Blood not much, but enough trickled from his side. A thin line across his chest. His armor was damaged. Queen Varela stopped laughing. Milo stepped forward, his face still calm. He didn't taunt. He didn't speak, slicing the axe's handle in two, then knocking the alien champion to his knees with a well-placed kick. The Kravari Champion was defeated, not dead, not humiliated, just bested. The arena was. Silent Eon walked slowly to the center, hiding his shock. He looked at Queen Varela. "Your challenge has been answered." The queen stood, her eyes burning, not with anger, but with curiosity. She looked at Milo again. "You surprise me, human. I've seen blades. I've seen warriors, but I've never seen ... that. Rin smiled. "I laughed at one sword, so he brought two." Somewhere in the crowd, a Kravari child asked his father, "Why didn't the human kill him?" Father replied, confused, I think, "It didn't need to." The dust from the duel still floated in the air as the arena doors rumbled closed behind the defeated Kravari champion Gracker. Carried away by four of his kin, he remained conscious, but silent, his pride more wounded than his body. Queen Varela stood tall above the silent crowd. Her heavy crown glinted under the double suns. She raised her hand and slowly clapped once, then twice, then 3 times. The crowd followed, unsure at first, but then louder, fuller, rising into a powerful sound that echoed through the city. Not laughter, not mockery. Respect. Rin glanced at Milo. "You turned them quiet," he whispered. "Now, you've made them clap." Milo simply cleaned his swords with a cloth and sheathed both calmly. Queen Varela descended the stone steps of her throne, each step slow and heavy. The soldiers flanking her shifted nervously. It wasn't often the queen entered the dueling circle herself. She stood before Milo, her glowing eyes scanning him like a hunter watching prey. Or perhaps something more. "You are strange, little human," she said. "Your kind talks of peace, but you carry blades older than your ships." "We only fight when we must," Milo replied softly. "And when you do?" the queen asked, raising a brow. Milo looked her in the eyes. "We end it." There was no arrogance in his voice, no pride, just certainty. The queen smiled. "I'm not done testing you." Gasps spread through the crowd like fire. Rin stepped forward. "Alarmed, your majesty," we answered the duel. There was no talk of a second trial. Queen Varela waved him off with a clawed hand. "Your warrior defeated my champion. Now I test him myself." Milo didn't move, but his eyes narrowed slightly. "Are you sure you want that?" The queen's grin widened. "You brought 2 blades. Let's see if they are enough." With a gesture, she removed her royal robe. Underneath, she wore armor made of dark scale metal that clung to her form like a second skin. But more shocking were her arms as they shifted and morphed, growing jagged edges turning into long natural blades made of bone and steel. Kravari. Bio-blades. Living weapons grown from the queen's own body. "I was once a war chief before I wore the crown," she said. "Let me remind your kind why we ruled the stars for so long." The arena was silent once more. Even the wind stopped. Rin opened his mouth to protest again, but Milo raised his hand. Let her step forward, unsheathing both blades. Again, one steel, one glowing, no fear in his eyes. The queen's eyes lit up. "Begin." She attacked fast, faster than Gracker, faster than expected. Her twin blades came from opposite sides, one from above, the other from below. To the side, letting both slash through empty air. The queen turned, spinning with speed that seemed impossible for her size. Milo blocked, parried, stepped back. He didn't strike yet. "She's faster than before," Rin whispered to himself, watching from the edge. The queen kept moving her. Style brutal, but sharp. Each swing of her arms was like a falling tree. Each step cracked the arena floor. But Milo stayed close, just outside reach. He was learning. He wasn't afraid of her strength. He respected it. But respect didn't mean surrender. Finally, he struck his steel blade, brushing against her side, a clean cut across her armor. But she didn't stop. She didn't even blink. She turned and lunged. Milo ducked, rolled, and stood behind her. He slashed again, a small cut on her shoulder. Then another. On her arm, the queen paused. "This is your plan?" she asked, breathing heavily. Tiny cuts. Milo didn't answer. He slashed again, and this time the queen blocked, but Only barely. He wasn't going for damage. He was going for control. Balance. The battle changed. The queen became more cautious, more alert. She realized something important. Milo was not trying to overpower her. He was slowly wearing her down, forcing her to move more, swing more, waste more energy. Her bioblades extended longer, sharper, more dangerous, but also heavier. She swung and missed. Milo spun and slid beneath her strike, cutting near her. Leg, not deep, just enough to throw her off balance. The crowd leaned forward, stunned. This was not a battle of strength. It was a battle of patience. Milo moved like water, never stopping, never blocking hard, just flowing from one position to the next. Finally, the queen charged with full force, blades high above her head. She brought them down with a thunderous roar. Milo jumped backward, let her blades crash into the stone, and before she could lift them again, he stepped behind her, tapped both her knees with his blade's flat edge, and gently placed his glowing sword at her back. Silence. The queen froze. She was not hurt, not even scratched by that final move, but she was trapped. One wrong move, and she would lose balance. He had won. She stood slowly, her blade shifting back into arms. She turned to face him. "I yield," she said, her voice soft but clear. The crowd gasped. A Kravari queen had never yielded in a duel. Not once. But she did not seem angry. She seemed curious. "Why didn't you strike?" she asked. "You were already defeated," Milo said. "No reason to cause pain." Queen Varela looked up at the crowd, then back at him. "I thought your blade was small," she said, "but now I see. It was sharp enough to cut my pride." Rin stepped forward with a grin. "Should I prepare the peace documents?" The queen chuckled. "You may. First let me hold one of his toothpicks." Milo handed her the steel sword. She held it with both hands, studying it. "A small thing," she said. "Delay. Just like your people, I think." The sun began to lower over the arena, but the crowd had not moved. No one had left. No one even blinked. The memory of the duel still held their eyes and their breath. For the first time in generations, the Kravari queen had yielded in battle. Not from pain, not from weakness, but from respect. Milo stood in the center of the arena, still calm, blades now sheathed. He showed no pride, no celebration. He simply nodded once toward Queen Varela and stepped back beside Rin. The queen, still holding his steel sword, looked at her people. "Let it be known," she said loudly, "this human fought with honor, with skill, and with purpose. Came not to conquer, but to teach." The crowd did not cheer. Not yet. They were still trying to understand what they had seen. Kravari fights were usually loud, brutal, fought with fists and roars and blood. Milo's duel was different. It had been quiet, sharp, precise, like watching a cold river slice through stone. Without making a sound in the stands, a young Kravari warrior whispered to his brother, "He dances with blades, not fights." That word passed quickly through the crowd. Blade dance, and soon murmurs became excitement. Later that evening, in the palace hall, Rin and Milo sat across from Queen Varela. The room was filled with warm orange light. Tall guards stood on both sides, silent and tense, though none had moved since the duel ended. Rin, sipping a mild fruit drink, broke the silence. "That went better than expected." Milo said nothing, only raised an eyebrow. The queen, however, chuckled. "You humans are strange. Your ships are small, your weapons look soft. Your warriors are quiet, but inside you, there's fire." "We train with purpose," Milo said simply. The queen leaned forward. "That second blade glowing blue, what is it?" "Gift," Milo answered. "Passed down by an old master, not because it's powerful, but because it reminds me to stay calm when the fight grows loud." Queen Varela turned serious. "And what if I had not stopped? What if I had fought until the end?" "Would have done the same," Milo said. "Used what I needed. Never more." She studied him closely. "You confuse me?" Good, he replied. Rin nearly choked on his drink. The next day, word had spread across the empire. Kravari, soldiers, workers, nobles, even younglings, had gathered in the outer city, rewatching the duel through crystal display or shared memory stones. The queen's surrender had shocked the old, but the style of the human warrior inspired the young. For the first time, the Kravari were not asking how strong are humans. They were asking how do they fight like that. In the palace yard, Milo trained quietly at sunrise. His blades moved in patterns circular, flowing, sharp. Each motion followed the next with almost musical rhythm. A Kravari child stood behind a column, watching wide-eyed. Her name was Tiri, daughter of one of the queen's guards. She tried to copy his motions with a stick. She wasn't alone. Within an hour, 3 more younglings had joined her, then 6, then a dozen. By midday, Milo looked up and down, saw an entire courtyard full of Kravari children copying his movements with sticks, staffs, or even pieces of metal. He said nothing, just nodded, then began showing them real steps, slowly, clearly, one move at a time. Queen Varela stood on her tower balcony, watching below. They do not fear him, said her advisor. No, she replied. They admire him. He is teaching them, your people, without asking. He is not teaching to win, she said softly. He is teaching to understand. That afternoon, Varela joined them. The children stopped when she approached, unsure, but she raised a hand. Continue. She stood at the back, silent, watching Milo's every step. He did not look surprised. That evening, the queen called a full assembly. Every noble, warrior, and elder stood within the grand hall, a place of stone and fire. The last time the hall had been filled was during the final war council against the Black Legion. Today was different. Today, the queen said, standing high on the stone steps, we saw something new, something not of our kind, something we once laughed at, but no longer. She looked at Milo, who stood calmly near Rin. This human came with no army, no threat. Only a sword. We thought him weak. But in his strength, we saw discipline. In his victory, we saw mercy. In his silence, we heard wisdom. She turned to her people. I declare that this art, this human blade dance, shall be studied and learned, not to replace our ways, but to grow them. From today, a training hall shall be built. And if the humans allow it, we will learn from them. The hall broke into applause. Rin whispered, You just started a revolution without saying a word. Gave a small shrug. They were ready for it. As night fell, Milo stood alone under the stars. Rin joined him. You're quiet again. There's still more to do, Milo said. Respect is the start, but peace takes time. Rin looked around. You've already done more in 2 days than our embassies have in 2 years. Because I didn't come to talk, Milo said. I came to listen. From behind them, Queen Varela stepped forward. I never thought I'd yield to a man with a sword smaller than my toothpick, she said with a smirk. Milo turned slightly. Then I did my job. She laughed.
I will.
You stay? I can't, he said. But I'll return. She nodded. Bring more toothpicks, he smiled. Morning light poured into the palace courtyard like warm gold. It was peaceful, quiet. A soft breeze moved across the stone tiles where Milo practiced alone, his blades flashing under the rising sun. Each step was calm, each swing balanced. It was a dance, not a fight. But that peace would not last. Queen Varela stood high on the outer balcony, arms crossed, watching him. She had not slept much. Her thoughts were heavy, and her pride was unsettled. She had yielded to a human. The memory still echoed in her mind like an old scar. And yet, she had not been angry. She had been challenged, not insulted. Now, something inside her stirred again. Later that day, the queen summoned Rin and Milo to her private chamber, round room filled with books, maps, and old war relics. She stood. At the center, wearing simple black armor instead of royal robes, Rin felt tension immediately. Your Majesty? Is something wrong? Virella's eyes stayed on Milo. No, but something remains unfinished. Milo tilted his head slightly. The duel is done. The first, she said. But not the last. Rin's eyes widened. Another? The queen nodded. Not out of pride, but curiosity. Your style is clean, controlled. But I wonder, can it hold under chaos? Milo remained calm. You want to test it again? I want to test you again, she said. Not here. Not in front of the crowd. This time just us. In the arena of storms. Rin blinked. That place is half ruined. Exactly, she replied. Uneven ground. No cheering crowd. Just dust, silence, and truth. Milo looked thoughtful for a moment, then gave a slow nod. All right. The arena of storms stood at the edge of the city, near the broken cliffs, where wind howled between the stone walls. It was ancient, built during the First Kravari War, with shattered statues and cracked floors. Lightning often danced across the sky above it, even on clear days, perfect for a challenge. Only 3 others came to watch. Rin, the Queen's second-in-command, Torak, and young Tiri, who had quietly followed Milo since their first training. The Queen stepped into the center of the arena. She no longer wore her crown. No titles. Just a fighter now. Her twin arms had shifted again, long bioblades humming softly. Milo entered slowly. Blades at his sides. There was no shout, no drum. Just the sound of wind. Then dash they moved. Virella struck first. Hard, fast, with wide swings that echoed across the stone. This was not like before. Her attacks were wild now, designed to break rhythm, to throw off balance. Milo danced back, blocking the first few strikes, but barely. She wasn't just testing him. She was hunting his weakness. One blade came from above, the other from below. Milo ducked, turned, stepped between the attacks, and spun to strike, but she was already gone. She moved like a storm. He was in her game now. Arin stood on the edge, nervous. She's faster this time. She's angry, Torak replied. No. Tiri said softly, she's excited. Milo adjusted his stance. He could feel the broken ground beneath his feet, stones shifting, old cracks opening. He couldn't rely on smooth footwork now. He needed a new approach. He waited. Let her strike, and when she did, he sidestepped, let her miss, and then landed a clean strike across her back. A shallow cut, she growled, but smiled. Better, she said. She came again faster. This time he didn't dodge. He met her head-on. Their blades clashed metal against bone. Sparks flew. The sound rang through the air like thunder. Milo twisted his body, locked one of her blades with his own, and used the other sword to tap her side. Again, not deep, just a message. You don't want to win, she said through clenched teeth. I want to understand, he replied. The duel raged on for minutes that felt like hours. Milo moved like wind and water. The Queen like fire and thunder. She jumped off broken pillars, swung from fallen arches, tried every trick from her years of war. But every time she came close, Milo was just out of reach, until she landed hard. Her breath short and her foot slid on loose stone. Milo could have ended it. One cut. One strike. But he didn't. He stepped back and lowered his blade. The Queen looked at him. Surprised you could have taken me down. You lost footing, not the fight. She stood slowly. You still hold back. No, Milo said. I just fight different. The wind grew quiet. The storm above faded. Virella looked down at her bioblades. Then slowly, they melted back into arms. She walked to Milo and placed her hand on his shoulder. You fight with balance. Not power. I fight to end it, not to stretch it. The Queen nodded. You've won again, she said. But this time I think I learned more than I lost. Rin stepped forward, smiling. So, no more duels? Virella smirked. Not unless he asks for one. Tiri ran forward, eyes shining. Can I learn both styles now? Yours and his? The queen looked at Milo. He smiled. That's the future. Learn both. Make something new. That night, back in the palace, Varela sat alone in her chamber. In her hand was the steel sword Milo had first brought, not glowing, not ancient, just simple. But it had changed everything. She whispered softly, a blade, or toothpick. Then she smiled. Whatever it was sharp enough to reshape an empire. The wind was calm again over Devux. For the first time in many cycles, the skies above the capital city were clear. No clouds, no storm. Just soft blue light, as if the planet itself was watching and waiting in the open courtyard of the Queen's palace. Dozens of young Kravari students stood in rows, each holding a practice blade. They were of different clans and sizes, but all focused their eyes forward. At the front stood Milo, quiet as always, his coat flapping lightly in the breeze. He didn't speak much, didn't shout, but when he moved, everyone followed to his right stood Tiri, the young Kravari girl who had been watching him since the first duel. She had grown faster, stronger, but more than that, she had learned control. Queen Varela watched from the upper balcony. Her arms were folded, but her face was relaxed. Her advisors stood near her, unsure what to say. One of them finally asked, "Your Majesty, is this what peace looks like?" The Queen smiled. "No, this is what change looks like." Training had started 2 weeks ago, not as part of any official program. It began with Milo teaching Tiri and a few curious students in the courtyard. Then more joined. Then guards. Then warriors. Even palace servants stood quietly at the back, holding sticks and trying to copy his moves. Milo never asked for permission, and Varela never stopped him. Now, the entire palace had turned into a training ground, but this was not a fight camp. This was something else. Something balanced. Balance is not standing still, Milo said, stepping between the rows of students. Balance is being ready. A Kravari boy raised his hand. Ready for what? Anything, Milo answered. A duel. A fall. A mistake. He walked behind the students and gently pushed one. The student didn't fall. He adjusted his feet, quickly catching himself. Good, Milo said. That's balance. You don't stop the world from shaking. You learn how to stand when it does. The Queen, listening from above, nodded silently. Later that day, Varela walked down to the courtyard herself. She had removed her royal armor and wore simple clothes. No crown, just herself. Milo looked at her but didn't speak. She joined the line of students without saying a word. The others stepped aside, surprised. But Milo waved them back into place. They continued the drill. High step, turn, block, flow. The Queen followed. Her moves were not perfect. Her steps were heavy, but she kept going. By the end, her arms were tired. Sweat dripped from her brow. She had not felt this way since her youth. She smiled after training. She sat beside Milo on a low stone bench. You didn't treat me like a queen, she said. You didn't join as one, he replied. She laughed. You're very honest. Only when it matters. She looked at the practice blades resting in a row nearby. Your lessons are strange. You teach fighting, but no one gets hurt. You teach balance, but no one stands still. Because balance is a path, Milo said, not a place. The Queen grew quiet. Tell me something, she asked. Where did you learn this? From failure, he said. She looked at him, curious. I used to fight without control, Milo said, his eyes distant. I was stronger, faster, but I lost too much people. Trust myself. He looked down at his hands, so I stopped. I learned to listen, to wait, to fight less. But fight smarter. Varela nodded slowly. You don't carry pain like a weapon. No, he said. I carry it like a lesson. That night, the palace held a small dinner in Milo's honor. Not a royal feast. Just a quiet gathering. Simple food, warm lights. Tiri sat beside him, smiling proudly. She had been named the first student of the new training hall. They're now being built outside the city walls. Rin, dressed more relaxed than usual, raised his glass. To the man who came with a sword and cut through our doubts. The others laughed softly. Queen Varela raised her glass as well. To balance, she said, to the dance of blades. And to the warrior who showed us that even small things can bring great change. Milo said nothing, but he nodded once. The next day, Varela walked through the half-built training hall with Milo and Rin. It was wide, open, surrounded by gardens and tall pillars. There were no statues, no gold, no banners, just space. Space to move. Space to grow. Rin looked around. Not very Kravarian style. It's not meant to be, Varela said. It's meant to be new. She looked at Milo. Would you stay and lead it? Milo paused. I want to, he said honestly. But I have to return. There are others who need me. Then let me send some of my own with you, she said. Let them learn your path. He thought for a moment, then nodded. As long as they remember one thing. What's that? She asked. It's not about winning, he said. It's about knowing why you fight. That night, before he left, Varela handed him a gift. A blade. It wasn't Kravari style. It was thinner, lighter, balanced, made by both human and Kravari smiths. A reminder, she said. Even a toothpick can change an empire. Milo smiled, taking it gently. Thank you. More of your strange wisdom? I will, he promised. As his shuttle rose into the sky, the Kravari below watched silently, not with fear, not with suspicion, but with respect. And in the courtyard, young students continued to train. High step. Turn, block, flow. Weeks passed since Milo's shuttle disappeared into the skies of Dravox. The Queen City slowly changed not by command, but by choice. Warriors trained in silence. Younglings practiced footwork with wooden sticks. Older Kravari, once proud of brute strength, now spoke of control and balance. The training hall outside the capital was finished. Its name was simple. It's the Edge. A place where Kravari and human techniques were shared, where fighters were taught. Not only how to strike, but when not to. The queen often visited without warning. She did not wear her crown, wore training gear and practiced like any student. The instructors no longer bowed when she arrived. They simply handed her a practice blade. Inside the training hall, Tiri had become a junior teacher, though still young. Her movements were clean and quick. She often wore a band tied around her. Rista gift Milo had left for her. One day she gathered the students and said, "Today we learned something new." She drew a line in the sand. "Strength ends here," she said. Then she stepped back, and skill begins here. Far away on a peaceful moon near the edge of the Orion Belt, Milo walked beside a tall grass field. He was back among humans, working. With another academy, but his heart often returned to Dravox. He had left behind more than students. He had left behind hope. Aaron walked beside him, holding a datapad. "You're quiet again. Still thinking," Milo said. "About her." Milo nodded once. The queen. She learned fast. Not just the steps, the meaning behind them. Rin looked up. Herder planet now honors silence in combat. No more shouting. No more taunts. Milo smiled. That's not silence. That's focus. Back on Dravox, Queen Varela stood before a gathering of war leaders and nobles. They sat around a circular table, expecting a strategy meeting. They did not expect what she said next. "We will open the Edge to all clans," she said, "even those who once opposed us." Murmurs filled the hall. "Train our enemies?" one general asked. "Why?" "Because true strength grows from shared challenge," the queen answered. "The human taught us that." She walked around the table, slowly. "We ruled for generations through power. But power fades. What remains is how we use it." Another noble stood. "They fight so differently. They move like wind, not fire." Varela nodded. "That is the human edge." Not long after, a message reached Dravox. A nearby system was in conflict to old allies now on the edge of war. The Kravari were asked to choose a side instead. Varela did something new. She sent a team of fighters trained at the edge. Their weapons were sheathed. their hands open. At the center of that team stood Tiri. She did not bring fear. Discipline. And when both sides saw how she moved, how she spoke, how she never raised a blade unless it was needed, they paused. They listened, and for the first time, peace came not from fear, but from respect. Back on the moon, Rin handed Milo a datapad. "You've started something," said. Milo read the message silently. Reports of calm returning. A growing number of Kravari requesting to train with humans. "What do we call this movement?" Rin asked. Milo thought for a moment, then replied, "We don't call it anything. Let it speak for itself." A few days later, a ship arrived from Traf. It was small, silver, and fast, a gift from the Queen. Inside was a single blade crafted from both Kravari bone metal and human steel. Alongside it, a note in her handwriting, for the one who showed us how to hold power without using it. From a queen who once laughed, now a student who listens. Milo held the blade for a long time. He didn't speak, but he placed it on the wall of the training hall beside the words, "Strength is what we carry. Balance is how we carry it. Queen." Varela, standing once again in her palace garden, looked toward the stars. An advisor walked up beside her. Students at the edge asked for more instructors. "Too many new students are coming." The Queen nodded. "Send for more humans. Invite them with respect. Let them know we do not want their weapons." She looked up at the sky. "We want their wisdom." The wind moved softly through the trees, a reminder of something she once saw in a duel. A warrior who moved like a breeze but struck like lightning. The one who came with a toothpick and changed everything. The skies above Dravox were clear and calm, but beneath them, a quiet revolution was unfolding. The edge, once a small training hall, had grown into a center of learning for the entire empire. Kravari warriors, young and old, trained side by side with human instructors. The old ways of brute strength still lived. They were softened and sharpened by the lessons of balance and control. Queen Varela walked through the great hall, watching the students practice. Her eyes held a new light, a mix of pride and hope. The empire she ruled was changing, shaped by a human who once came with only 2 blades, called a toothpick by her people, far away. Milo prepared for his journey back to Dravox. His work at the Human Academy was done for now, but his heart pulled him home. Ian approached him. "You ready?" Milo nodded. "There's still much to do." The message from the Queen had been clear. "Bring your blades, your wisdom, and your patience. We are ready." The shuttle landed quietly near the edge. Milo stepped out, greeted by smiling faces, both Kravari and human. The Queen herself was waiting. It's no crown this time. Just a warrior ready to walk beside him. Weeks passed, together. Milo and Varela led training, built trust, and shared stories of their worlds. One day a challenge arrived from a rival empire threatening the border systems. War seemed inevitable, but instead of sending armies, Queen sent emissaries trained at the edge. Diplomats who understood both strength and peace. Milo and Varela stood before the rival leaders. Swords sheathed, hands open. The rival leader sneered. "You send warriors without weapons? What trick is this?" Varela smiled. "No trick. We send peace." Milo spoke softly. "True power is not shown by the sword you draw, but by the one you keep sheathed." The rival leader laughed but listened. Days of talks followed, not with threats, but with demonstrations of skill and discipline. The Kravarian humans performed blade dances, showing control, respect, and unity. The rival leaders, once ready for battle, found themselves captivated by the calm strength. Finally, an agreement was made, a treaty not of submission, but of understanding. Borders were redrawn peacefully. Trade began, and a new alliance was formed. Back on Dravox, the crowd gathered to hear the news. Queen Varela stood before them and raised Milo's blade high. "This blade," she said, "is more than steel. It is a symbol of respect, of strength used wisely, and of a future where peace is carved from the edge of a sword, not forced by it." The crowd cheered, not out of fear, but out of hope. Milo looked to the stars that night. He thought of Earth, of Dravux, of all the worlds still learning. The dance of blades. He smiled quietly. A toothpick, a blade. The dance, it was all the same. What mattered was the heart behind it.